Hey folks, it's Ardwulf. Welcome. We have a big unboxing today. It's sort of a long-awaited product. Here we have 1985, Under an Iron Sky from Thin Red Line Games. This is the third Echelon, if you will, third printing. This is a World War III in Central Europe type game. It is, by most accounts, something of a reimagining of SPI's not quite classic The Next War, designed by Jim Dunnigan and developed, I believe, by Mr. Mark Herman, which is a game I had back in the day but never got to play. This game drew a great deal of positive attention. There is now a second game in the series called Deadly Northern Lights, which is also out of print. These are European publisher, printed in very small quantities. These things, the first two printings of this evaporated almost instantaneously. So what we have here is a real big box, 3 inches thick, not quite double size, but pretty close to it. Nothing on the sides, only on the top, and the box bottom is actually blank as well. So let's actually open her up and see what we get in this bad boy. It's a big game, I can tell you that. Despite that, the rules are available online from the Thin Red Line Games website. There is also a vassal module for this, which looks at least serviceable from what I can tell. So let's put this thing aside in an attempt to... Okay, first of all, let's open it, because I'm having trouble. Just a box of vacuum. All right, so... thick box, too. Very thick box. You're curious to see if counter trays... You wouldn't be able to fit 2 counter trays side by side in this, I can tell you that. All right, we have a somewhat slapdash bundle of baggies here. That's fine, because I won't use them anyway. We have 2 D20s. Two... what looks like Kaplow D20s. If I had to absolutely guess, they don't look like Chessex D20s to me. Perfectly nice, even if one is a lurid pink. All right, so rest of the box contents. We have this booklet. Do we have 2 of these? We do, in fact, have 2 of these. All right, so this looks like the reference booklet containing all the tables and stuff required for play. Ground combat. Okay, so so on the cover, we have the terrain effects chart. Okay, just inside that we have movement costs, extra movement costs. So I think this might be one of those games where you have, like, I don't know what they're called, like action points, and then you spend those action points to do something. Not certainly the first game to have that kind of mechanism. But those are the associated costs of random other things that aren't moving. Ground combat results, ground combat modifiers, air combat table, ground strike mission, and SEAD mission. If I thought hard enough, I probably would remember what that stood for. Flak table, helicopter interception table, special forces ingress table, special forces assault table. Here's a weather table, revolt table. Here we have a nuclear attack table, nuclear contamination table. Okay, curious to see what those rules look like. And here we have a counter ID key, it looks like. All right, and then on the back, North Atlantic battle chart. All right, so we have 2 of these, like, player aid booklets. There's not a player, well, I don't know yet, but there may not be a player aid card to get this booklet instead, which is fine by me. All right. 1985 Under an Iron Sky Scenarios Booklet. All right, so this is European paper size, whatever this size is, A4 maybe? I don't remember. And we have what looks like thick paper, thick semi-gloss paper, 56-page book here. These are the scenarios. So we have, looks like, okay, Scenario 1, Checkpoint Charlie. Scenario 2, Mind the Gap. Scenario 3, A Damned Nice Thing. Scenario 4, Parabellum. Checkpoint Charlie is apparently pretty small. And here's a campaign, 2 campaigns. Okay, and then we've got a bunch of articles and stuff on the different countries and stuff too. That's kind of cool. Weapons of mass destruction. Additional rules. Ooh, look at this. Is this an order of arrival? That's what this looks like. This is campaign. Whew, okay, a lot of setup forces here. All right, NATO forces. All right, so yeah, a lot of content here in this book. This is the kind of thing that I think realistically you could consider the final word on this subject, if this is that kind of subject for you. I'm not sure that it is for me, but I will say that I have on order the Third World War Omnibus Edition reprint from Compass, and I'm pretty excited about that. And I've played that, and that's a very good game. All right, so we have a rule book, which is also 56 pages. And again, the paper quality here is like a semi-gloss. I wouldn't call it a satin finish. It actually feels a little glossier than that. It's not like that magazine-type stock, though. It's quite thick. Single, not super tiny print, single column format. I'm not a huge fan of single column format, but, you know, it's not something I'm going to write an angry letter to anybody over either. So, very nice, very nice, very nice. We have a glossary in the front, which is always useful, and a sequence of play. Sequence of play, since they went to the trouble of doing this booklet, they should have put the sequence of play on there too. Sequence of play on the back, TEC on the front. But, that aside, now I've perused these lightly, very lightly perused these rules. And for all their 56 pages, I mean, it ain't a simple game, but it doesn't look monstrously complicated to me. All right. And we have a large number of displays here. Looks like this is our air superiority display. And these are on what looks like the same A4, if that's what it is, type of size paper. But it's kind of a thin, almost vinyl-y feeling paper. And I think that's the coating that they use. I think we'll find that the maps are like that too. Here's Warsaw Pact airfields. Stendal, Templin, Welsau, Verneuken, Wittstock. I'm pronouncing these as though they're German, which they might not be. In fact, this one, Laga, is the only one that's actually in East Germany. In Hungary here, off map in Hungary, and off map in Poland. Oh, here's another one. Okay, there's a whole second page of Warsaw Pact airfields. That's very nice to not keep, they have an off-map display just of the airfields and not keep these on the map, cluttering everything up. Now we have a second air superiority display. Is this the same thing? Because it looks like it is. Maybe one for each player? Yep, that is absolutely the case. There's a watermark behind here. This is the Warsaw Pact because it's in Cyrillic. And here's the NATO player. And then here we have NATO airfields. 1 and 2, so a lot of airfield displays. We have, I'm going to get to the counters last. Let's talk about the maps. All right, so we have what appears to be 3 full-size maps, whatever full size is, and 2 smaller maps. So let's bust one of them out. Yeah, this would be a good one to do that with. Now, as I recall from looking at Less Than 60 Miles, these maps are a bit bigger than standard size, but that's because the fine folks in Europe have the metric system, and we here in the benighted United States of America do not. So here we have the Denmark portion of the map. This is definitely, I guess I wouldn't swear to this. It has been a long time since I have laid eyes on a physically set up copy of SPI's The Next War. This looks like a bigger scale to me. The map is on that same sort of vinyl-y feeling paper. This is a little thinner than the displays are. I really like the feel of the map, and I think it looks pretty decent too. Of course, here there's not a lot of clutter either. So let's look at a slightly more central section of the map. This looks like the map section immediately to the south of the first one that I pulled open. And I'm sorry that you can't see the whole thing. It's just that the the mount that I have for the camera, which is something I would like to fix at some point, doesn't extend quite high enough. I don't find this to be a particularly obnoxiously busy map or anything like that. I think it's less busy than the map for less than 60 miles, in fact. I like it. I think it looks nice. They've got little, here's the various airfields, and this is a heliport or something? I don't know. Intriguing. With national flags next to each one, which is kind of nice. There may be rules that restrict the availability of those airfields. Now let's see if we can fold these again. These fold in a slightly unconventional way to us Yankees, but not like those highway maps. Now, in addition to the 3 big maps, we also have 2 smaller maps. One of which obviously goes near the top right to get that Polish coast near Danzig, now called Gdansk, part of Poland. And then we have this little part of Hungary and Austria. Vienna's right here. Wiener Neustadt and Bratislava. And this is Czechoslovakia. This is Czechoslovakia. Very good. Okay, so we have then 5 maps. And then we have a pretty big stack of counter sheets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 counter sheets. All right. Counter sheet 8 is markers. We have these number markers. Don't know what those are for. These number markers. They do have 2s and 3s on the back, however. Here's some nuclear markers. Revolts. These are a little hard to read. Text on these is a little hard to read, but I mean, they've got the nuclear symbol on them, so I don't think anybody's going to be particularly baffled. These are detection markers. Those are pretty hard to read. Counters are on a white core stock that is fairly thick, feels fairly thick anyway from here. Not super duper thick. I've seen thicker, but it also, a lot like the maps, it's got this sort of almost vinyl feeling coating on them that I really rather like. Counter sheet 7 is also miscellaneous markers. Counter sheet 6, we start to get into the units. These are presumably Soviets, since they have the Soviet flag on them. But here's a couple West German units down here. It looks like registration. I did notice some registration problems on other counter sheets, the counter sheets from less than 60 miles. There's a little bit of registration dodginess on here, but it's not to a problematic extent, I don't think. Nothing's crazily misaligned, but you can see these down here aren't quite centered. All right, here's more Warsaw Pact stuff. Large quantity of additional Soviet things. Looks like we have mostly brigades here, but we also have some divisions and regiments. We have some poles up here. Very hard to see the color difference between these the counter field, these Soviet units and these Polish units. That is certainly a criticism I could make of the original Next War as well. Yeah, at least in the current light. I mean, depends on the light. If I tilt it this way, it's easier to tell the difference. If I lay them flat on the table in front of me, it's harder to tell the difference. But I don't have the world's most awesome light here. It's another video thing that I would like to get fixed at some point. I did order a light at one point, but it did not work out. All right, so down here we have more Polish. In fact, all this stuff looks like it's Polish. This stuff looks like it's Czechoslovakian. These, I presume, are East German. It looks like it. Yep, those are East Germans. Very handsome counter colors. I'm kind of watching for anything really severe as far as registration problems, but I don't see anything. And then here we start getting into the NATO stuff. So. Are these labeled? No. Okay, so here we have our UK. Here we have, this looks like Dutch units. Yeah, that's right. Here are Italians. Here are Austrians. Is that right? I'm trying to remember the Austrian flag. I think so. Down here, these may be more. These are definitely more Warsaw Pact, Hungarians possibly, something like that. I think so. Okay, and then back to sheet 2, we have obviously the French, we have the West Germans, we have the Danes. This is tasty here. Here we have the Belgians, we have the United States, we have the Canadians. And the purple guys are, I admit I can't tell. I don't know whose flag that is. It's not the Dutch. I don't think. And it's not the Italians, because we already saw the Italians. And that's definitely not the Italian flag. I don't know who that is off the top of my head, but there's some other are these the same purple? No, that's a different purple. Okay. Okay, so a lot of markers, 8 counter sheets total. The counters feel really nice. Like I said, it seems like actually on every sheet, maybe not. Seems like there's a little bit of registration drift on the right-hand side of the sheet, where the print is drifted that way just a little bit, but not to a problematic extent. And these are half-inch counters, by the way. Very handsome. I like them. I like them a lot. This is something I want to play. I think there's a pretty good chance that this will get played locally here once we get back to seriously playing face-to-face again. How this is going to get stored, that's a great question. It looks like I could fit 3 counter sheets in this. I'm guessing here, because it's hard to tell. I can fit probably 3 counter sheets in this box. Now, it's interesting that we got this huge box, but there's a lot of dead space in here too, right? So there was no real need to have a box quite this big. Yeah, I'd say 3 counter sheets I could get in the box. As a rule of thumb, I usually find that, there's some wiggle room here, that I can get 2 counter sheets in a single GMT counter tray. So if we baggy the markers, I can almost certainly get this entire game into 3 GMT trays as soon as I get some GMT trays. So, Under an Iron Sky, very nice looking product. A game of interest to me, despite my, I'm not the world's most interested person in this topic, right? I really do feel, and there's been a renaissance on this topic over the last few years in wargaming as well. And there's, some old classics are coming back, sometimes under, completely new management and in a different vision, as is the case here. In other cases, like NATO, The Next War in Europe, the old Victory Games, very well-regarded Victory Games, titled by Bruce Maxwell, which is coming out in a new edition from Compass Games. The folks at Decision are doing a reimagining of the old Central Front series. Their new series is called 7 Days to the Rhine, and it actually looks like it might be interesting. We'll see. Again, this topic is starting to get very thoroughly explored. I nevertheless strongly suspect that my interest in this topic will be fully satisfied by this game, by the Compass Games Third World War, which is still coming as of this filming, and possibly by additional games in this series. I think this is going to fully satisfy me on this subject. So can't wait to get this to the table. So thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to click the little bell icon to get notified when new content comes out. If you'd like to support Ardwulf's Lair further, please share the content around or check out the Patreon link in the description below. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time. Until then, happy wargaming.